Rich Shea here with another unboxing. This time, City Builder Ancient World, designed by Andrei Filip, illustrated by Andrew Dorlin, and published by Inside Up Games. I don't think I've ever bought a game by them before. Got this on Kickstarter. There were some delays. We group did it. My friend moved to Maine. I finally got the game though. And it's just come out into retail anyway, so this is the Kickstarter version, which I think just has some extra stuff. It's not a different version of the game. It's a tile laying game. It's not super complicated. We did get a chance to play it and learn it. Inside the box are, the day one Kickstarter backers. Let's zoom in a little bit. Oops, no, that's not in. Yes, on the instructions. Okay, so the usual thing. Inside the box we have 60 city tiles, 4 sets of 3 starter tiles, 6 town squares, which the players use up to 4 players, so you'll only use some of them, an active player token, which seems like not important, but I tell you it turns out to be a very important piece in this game. 4 player aids, 2 sets of monuments, 16 competitive monuments, 11 cooperative monuments. This game has a cooperative and a solo mode. Emperor's Edicts, which are part of the cooperative game, a draw bag, which is used to hold the monuments, 4 settler tracks. One side is for the competitive game, the other side is for the cooperative game, a bunch of large wooden pieces in 5 colors, 4 of each color, and 56 smaller pieces. The big ones are the nobles, the little ones are the commoners, in the same 5 colors. There's a tile tray with a spacer assembly. It's actually quite nice that way. It's very nicely organized. You'll see when we get to inside. And then the rules. First, for competitive play, where you start with a town square. Then each player will get a different set of starter tiles. On a turn, you're going to place a tile. Then you can discard tiles and draw back up to 3. During the game, you're going to get your 3 starters and draw 15 more tiles, and those 18 are all you will play. The goal is largely to create districts where you can remove either nobles or commoners from a track based on their color and put them on your map, uncovering points on this track. As you can see here, there's going to be like a row of random commoners. One player is going to start at one end, another player at the other end, and there's one of these tracks between each player. 2 tracks between two players when they're playing a 2-player game. When you start taking them, people can take them until there's 1 left, wherever that would be, and that's it. You can't take any more from that particular column. Okay, so each of the boards has 2 rows of commoners and 1 row of nobles, also with a different number. There's 7 commoners, 5 nobles, always purple in the middle. There are monuments. This is set up for how the game goes with 4 players are playing, okay? And the overview, where you expand by placing a tile, okay, which you then may score if you want, okay? Putting on buildings or monuments, and an important point is that you don't have to fill in everything at once. Spaces that you complete that have unused openings can have other things added to them. Alright, and then so when you add the tile, you have to follow some rules. Basically no diagonal placement. And the goal is to create enclosed areas which then can be used to score by gaining settlers, okay, or placing a monument. Okay, and it basically uses the colors to decide which settlers you can place. Like arenas are green, so one arena and anything else in an enclosed space lets you put a green commoner on one of the white building spaces. If you have 2 of them and something else, you can place a noble on a building instead. And they all work like that, except the purple ones. The purple ones require that you have 3 different colors to place a purple commoner, or all 4 colors to place a noble commoner. Okay, a building can be used to place more than 1 piece. It most basically depends on how many white building spaces there are, and you can never have more than one piece of a color in a district that you complete. So the most you can have are one each of the 4 different ones. Whether they're noble or commoner is irrelevant. When you complete a space that's basically 2 squares, a rectangle like that, and it has the correct symbols, you can place a monument there. Okay, a monument has endgame rules usually, or an immediate action that applies just to you. And during the upkeep phase, you draw back up to 3, but you can also discard one or both of your remaining tokens and draw new ones. Okay, and then at the end of the game, you do all the scoring. Whoever has the most points wins, and if it's tied, the player with the fewest settlements, and if it's still tied, the player with the fewest monuments wins. Okay. Then there's a cooperative thing where you have a total number of monuments that are different, edicts that change the way the game works, their game-specific rules, and use a different track because the way that you get settlers is different in the cooperative game. And then there's a solo version of the game. A few reminders and clarifications. The rules are easy to understand. I don't know if I would have put black print on purple, but it's not hard to see. Okay. The pieces are, well, one thing to notice, do not discard, use to raise the insert. So you keep that to make it have the correct depth when it's done. The pieces are quite chunky, they're very thick, okay. The back, these are the starters. The colors aren't the player colors, it's just that it's which color is dominant in that starting set. So you sort of have a draft for those, reverse of player order. The monuments have a picture on the back, but the important stuff is the information on the front that explains what they do. This is like the Pantheon. This city must have 4+ nobles. Oh, this is one of the cooperative ones. And also, the monuments have a requirement for buildings in the enclosed area. The tiles that you place look like this. Here's a white building that can receive a settler of either kind. And here's like a green and a blue token. The street marks it, and you lay them down to create districts that are bordered by streets. Okay. It's a little busy, but it doesn't take very long to get used to it when I was playing the one game that I played. This is a starter section. It has it's the size of 2 different tiles. It has roads running this way and diagonally to help you get started. And each of them has 2 different colors on the starting things. This is the current player marker. One of the reasons it's important is that everybody's busy trying to figure out which piece they're going to place next and where it's going to go, and maybe not paying enough attention to whether they're actually the player on or not. It's actually pretty easy to forget, so you just keep moving this around. These are edicts, which just change the game rules. So that's 1. 2. And oh, these are pieces for making some dividers. 3 sets of tiles. Okay, the player boards are actually they're actually triple, quadruple thick. There's 2 middle cores. It's recessed on this side for holding the settlers, and this is recessed on this side for holding the settlers. You can see, and it's very simple, at the end of the game you get all the points that you've uncovered. The purple ones go here, okay, and there's going to be 1 or more left in each of these columns to show whose points they are, right? So there are 4 of these. They're all identical. They're not like player faction ones. You randomly place the tiles on them, except for the purple ones in the middle. These are the settlers. These are the noble settlers. You can see it's wood. They're pretty thick, nicely cut out to indicate buildings. I'm not sure how architecturally realistic they are, but they look nice on the board when you're playing. And these are the individual color buildings. Remember, they're not your player colors, they're just the buildings of the different kinds of settlers you can get. Then there's the player reference card, which is quite clear. How to get commoners, how to get nobles, then on the back, and then the important rules. There are statues. Statues are wild, but once they replace a landmark, they are that color for the rest of the game, which I guess is pretty easy to figure out using the buildings that have been placed there. Then there's how to play in the competitive mode, cooperative mode. Okay. And then just to notice that you never ever have the last settler in a column removed, no matter what happens, just in case you think there's something going on. There's a bag to put the monuments in for drawing. It's quite nicely done. Very heavy cloth. Nice bag. And a jammed in here pretty tightly. Oh man. In fact, it was put in one that was a little too hot, I think. Let's take this out. Is the score sheet. There we go. Everything's fine. The glue was put in while it was hot, and just, you know, points for commoners, points for nobles, points for monuments, and then add them up. Player names go there. Pretty straightforward. Play the game. It's actually quite a fun game. As you can see, the holder is quite elaborate. All the different tiles go into different places. You may wonder, what's this round thing for? And I'll show you in a moment. I want to show you the Kickstarter bonus stuff. The imagery when you're playing is a little busy. Once you get used to it, it's not hard to make the matches and patterns up. I think it would have been less thematic looking if they used simpler art. Always an issue. I mean, it looks a lot like bricks in ancient Rome, and a building resembles the buildings, only slightly cartoony, but quite clear once you're doing it. The rules are very straightforward. For the Kickstarter version, you got an extra bag. You don't really need an extra bag, but there it is. You could put the buildings in there, the settlers, and then draw them out of there randomly. That would help you. It also comes with a first player marker coin instead of a first player marker coin, which is sometimes useful, although everybody will run out of tiles. It's only important if you can't figure out what's going on. And a couple of more relatively nasty monuments you can get, plus another pair of edicts. They're different on each side. Okay, the Thieves Guild, for instance, is really annoying. These are all like punishing kinds of monuments to the other players. So that's the game. It's not a super heavyweight game. It's nicely designed. I think it has a number of different features than other games that are sort of like it. And I thought it was fun to play. So hopefully if it's interesting, and now that it's coming out in retail, you can get it if you want. So hope you're having fun. Stay safe. And watch for future unboxings. Bye for now.